A couple of weeks ago, Six Flags and Cedar Fair announced that they would be merging together to form one mega theme park corporation. And I know I'm a little late making a video on it now, but I wanted to give it a little time to stew. This is maybe the biggest theme park news we've gotten like ever, so I feel like rushing into it isn't the best idea. I don't think people really comprehend how big of a deal this really is. It's the equivalent of like Coke and Pepsi merging, or Microsoft and Apple, or DC and Marvel. If you told me a year ago that Six Flags and Cedar Fair would be joining forces, I would have looked at you like you had four heads. But somehow that's exactly what happened, so in this video, I'm going to finally give you my take on it because that's exactly what you all want to hear. This isn't a super analytical video. I'm not really diving into all the shareholders and ownership and EBITDA. If you want to know the nitty-gritty details and all the little numbers going into this, then there are tons of videos already out breaking down exactly what's going on and how it'll impact both companies, or I guess just the one company now. I'd recommend El Toro Ryan's video. It's pretty good for that. I'm mostly gonna be focusing on my take on why this will actually be a good thing for us, despite this basically being a monopoly. But first, I'll give a brief summary of what's happening just for a little bit of context. First of all, this is not a buyout. Six Flags tried buying Cedar Fair a couple months ago and it did not go through. And it's a very good thing that it didn't go through because that company would have been 4 feet under by now. These two companies are simply uniting to form one super corporation without anyone buying anyone else or acquiring any more debt. And that was the smartest move because both of these companies are already in so much debt that buying the other one would have just not have been financially possible. That's the whole reason these companies combined in the first place. Six Flags was in $2.273 billion of debt. But what I don't think people realize is that Cedar Fair was not far off with $2.17 billion. Those are both really bad, and with the looming recession coming after we just got out of the pandemic, if we're being honest, both companies would be at risk of bankruptcy very soon. Cedar Fair already shed some parks with California's Great America, but that would have just been the beginning. You can say goodbye to Michigan's Adventure and all the other little parks that never get any new rides. Dorney would probably be lights out, maybe even King's Dominion. Cedar Fair's handling of COVID was really conservative, so it took them a lot longer to get their parks running, and because of this, I think COVID hit them a lot harder than people initially thought, especially coming off of some huge additions like Orion. Now, Six Flags has always been a little rocky on the debt front, but this was getting out of control. They were like $100 million from the same amount of debt as they were when they filed for bankruptcy. And I know $100 million sounds like a lot to us, but to a corporation like Six Flags, that's gone in like a couple years. So what does this merger do? Well, it gives the company time to refinance their debts before paying off. Before, both companies had to pay off a portion by 2025, but now they have the excuse of combining companies to push back that date just a little bit. And hopefully with this change will come an increase in revenue. Why will there be an increase in revenue? Well, personally, I think these parks are going to drastically improve within a decade and will skyrocket in popularity. This is definitely a situation where the sum is greater than the parts. They're taking the best parts of both companies and combining them. Now, it's worth mentioning that Cedar Fair has slightly more shareholders than Six Flags do, so they have a slightly larger role in the company, but that's definitely a good thing. What's basically happening is we're getting the management of Cedar Fair with the Six Flags branding and name. Six Flags is really only the juggernaut that it is because of how big the name is. They've got the DC characters, the Six Flags man, the goofy announcement videos, like they have their marketing in a chokehold. But the way they run their parks is just criminal. Their parks are dirty, there's ads everywhere, every coaster needs a paint job, it's a mess. Cedar Fair will be able to employ their management strategies to hopefully fix all of this. That's why their CEO is staying and the Six Flags CEO is stepping down, and the company is moving to their headquarters instead of vice versa. But just picture this. Imagine going into Six Flags Magic Mountain and having it clean, smell nice, look nice, new paint jobs in the coasters, good food in the restaurants. It would be coaster paradise. The thing is, every park would be like that. You know how when you go to a Cedar Fair park, there's a certain feeling of quality, and you go to a Six Flags park, it feels like plastic. Soon, that quality will be at Six Flags parks too. But that's a very long-term change that won't really be implemented in all of the parks for at least a decade. There will, however, be many short-term improvements too. The biggest is probably the new season pass. Shockingly, they have confirmed that there will be a season pass program providing access to every single park in the chain. That's 42 parks in North America that you will be able to get into with one pass. Now, yeah, this will probably cost a small fortune per month, but if you live in like a big metropolitan area with like a bunch of parks that were previously competing, your options just ballooned. New Yorkers can choose from Dorney, Great Adventure, or New England on any given day, or in Southern California, you can get Knott's Berry Farm and Magic Mountain, two of the best parks in the country. This system also backtracks on a change Six Flags made a couple years ago. Before, one season pass could get you into any Six Flags park, but then they restricted it to with season pass only getting you into the park that you bought it at. I guess people really didn't like that and probably weren't buying as many season passes, so this new mega company is going back to the old Six Flags model, just on the super scale. The company will also probably shed off a couple of smaller parks that aren't really doing well. And you might say, say Coast Tunes, that's not a good thing. I thought you said these were short-term bonuses. And to that I say, it is a good thing. First of all, let's be honest, Michigan's Adventure will probably never get another coaster under Cedar Fair's management. The same can probably be said for Valley Fair and Worlds of Fun. And don't even get me started on the little random obscure Six Flags park. There's like 8 of them that won't even get a new vending machine. If someone new scoops up any of these parks, then they'll be able to properly invest in them for the long term. Because if by some miracle one of these parks did actually get a new coaster under the new company, it would probably most likely be like an S&S Free Spin or like a Skyline Skywarp thing. Yikes. This will also allocate more money towards the parks that we actually care about that will actually be getting sizable additions. I know this is all an assumption that they'll sell stuff off, but realistically, they can't possibly manage over 40 different parks across like 30 states. It's just not possible. They'll have to completely neglect some parks, which at that point, why not just sell it? The last short-term effect that will probably benefit us will be the new additions. We're finally going to see some diversity in new coasters at these parks. Gone are the days of S&S Free Spins and RMC conversions being the only new rides at Six Flags parks. Now we might see Gerstlaughers pop up again, or large-scale B&Ms, or even GCIs. Cedar Fair may start working with RMC again, or even get some Premier Rides launch coasters for once. This really just makes it exciting to be an enthusiast again. I feel like for a while after COVID, we kind of got into a rhythm of pretty mediocre additions across the board. No one was really pushing any boundaries or trying anything new. Merging these two companies will force the new company to try new things. But with all these pros, won't there be some cons? Won't there be some drawbacks with this being pretty much a monopoly over the theme park world? Well, surprisingly, I don't think so. First of all, I know I said it was a monopoly before, but it's not really a monopoly over theme parks. It's a monopoly over regional theme parks, but not theme parks as a whole. Disney and Universal still very much own the theme park landscape. Second, I don't think this really eliminates competition either. The way regional theme parks function, there's not a whole lot of competition from other parks to begin with. Most of these are like the sole park in their region, so they're going to attract the entire population of the area. There are only a few cases where parks are directly competing with one another, but those are usually around large cities that are large enough that there will be enough people anyways. I genuinely believe there won't be any noticeable negative changes that comes from this merger. Maybe that's like naively optimistic, but that's just what I think. I really think this is only going to be a good thing for us. But that's just what I think. Let me know what you guys think about this news in the comments below. I know I've been saying this a lot, but I'm sorry for the slower uploads. It will get better soon, I promise. Thank you guys so much for watching all the way to the end, and I will see you in the next one.